Welcome to the iPad Apps First Look channel, and we will have a small review of iOS 8. So if you looked at the first two videos showing you first the install, starting the install, download and install, then a little bit of the install itself, we now are on the third video in a series of three, and this is kind of a look and review of the iOS 8 for iPhone 5 here. Now, it took overall an hour on the iPhone 5 to download and install iOS 8. Once it restarted, it came into a page where they asked me a few questions and to enable the localization, because I often turn it off. And finally, we are into iOS 8. It doesn't look very different when you are at the first start, except for the fact that now you have this new icon here, which is the health and fitness app, basically, where you can see body, fitness, mean nutrition results, and so on. So there's different things you can do with this new app that will actually give you all sorts of details on your health, and also you can create a medical ID, and on some parts of the world this can work and actually send data to your doctor's office, for example. First thing I noticed is that in the for example, when you look at mail, you can see that I can see that the text is actually bigger. I've always put the text bigger in my iPhone because I have a little bit of problem with the vision, and so having text that is bigger was something that I wanted. But now it's actually too big, and actually if I look at the phone numbers of the people calling me, all I have is the first numbers because it's just too big. So that's one thing. It's now really big, so they've changed the fonts, that's for sure, in iOS 8. As for the crispiness and the sharpness of the usage, it's actually working quite well. In the iPhone 5, I don't see anything sluggish, I don't see any problems with it, so it seems to be working quite well. I've used it now for many hours and there's no crashes, nothing. I've tried pretty much every feature. I've used AirPlay. Everything works really well and is very smooth. So on the iPhone 5, at least, I can tell you that there's no sluggishness at all. What are the new features that we can talk about of iOS 8? Well, first of all, the new Maps. The Maps has a new feature, which is a 3D view from the air of areas, but it depends. Your area needs to have that view. For example, I tried Montreal, where I live here in Canada. It does not have that view. But if I actually go back to Maps and I just search for New York, for example, then when I search for New York, it actually brings me to the New York area, and there you will see something called Flyover Tour, and you can actually click on that, and there you will have a flyover tour of New York City and its different areas or of interest for tourists, for example. So that is quite cool, but it has to be supported on the city that you want. So that's a new cool feature of Maps. Personally, I must say that even though Maps is better and improved, I still use Google Maps, that I find much more interesting, actually. Then another feature that's quite interesting that I like is the battery usage by app, and that is really nice. One of the biggest problems with the iPhone battery usage, is that you didn't know actually what really used the battery. And that is interesting because now you can click the settings. You can go into general and just click on usage. And there, if you click battery usage, you will see that it gives you all the apps that take battery and how much battery they actually asked for. So if you are wondering why your battery is running down, then you know that you can check for this, and it's going to tell you which apps are using the most batteries. And so you can actually either delete or change the settings of that app, which is quite interesting because you know, there's just so many times when the battery runs out and you just don't know why. And at least with this, you have an idea that the battery usage is which app actually has the battery usage. Another feature that's interesting is when you buy something from the App Store, and you can of course ask permission to request for a app. So that's why we call it here set up family sharing. So for example, now for me, because I'm not going to use that, but it will enable you to ask permission to actually buy an app. So this is quite cool because from the App Store, parents will get an alert on their iOS device. So for example, if your children have an iPod Touch, they want to buy an app, of course, usually it's the parent's credit card that's in there. So what is going to change is that now the children, or you know, they can actually click on the buy at the app, and it's going to send you a request on your iPhone or iPad, for example, to say, oh, there's a request for an app, buying an app. Do you accept or not? And it's going to give the permission. So you don't have to be there physically if you want. So it's pretty cool. Another interesting feature that is available is in the iCloud. When you actually check for iCloud, what is interesting now is that not only do you have the Find My iPhone stuff, but you also have Send Last Location. So for example, if your iPhone gets stolen or iPad, now by checking this, putting this one on, it means that the last position, or the position, will actually be sent when the battery drains to a critical level. So for example, when the battery drains below 20 or 15 or 10% or something, what happens is it's going to send its location, so that even if the battery's dead, you know the last location where your iPhone was. So that's cool. I think that's a nice add to the features. The iOS photo app now has many new features that's interesting. So for example, if you go into the photo app and you actually delete, so for example, I'll delete this weird picture. Delete. Here we go. If I go back, I now have recently added, but if you look, there's recently deleted is now available. So if you delete pictures by accident, it's cool because you can actually really undelete basically. So it's like a second chance before they are really totally deleted. So that's cool. Another really nice feature actually here is a new time-lapse camera app. So for example, if I press the time-lapse button and I go real slowly, very slowly here, and so now it's actually filming. Now the reason for the time-lapse is, for example, if you want to make a movie of a sunset or a flower or very slow moving objects, it's pretty cool because this lets you actually film a very long process and really make it in an accelerated video. So that's a very cool feature actually that I find of the iPhone here. So for example, I will press stop, and now the time-lapse video is here. If I go to the time-lapse, to the videos actually, and check for it, the time-lapse video will actually be available, and I'll be able to watch it in a basically a really faster speed. So for example, this is what I just made. Here we go. This is much faster speed of a few minutes video. So it's pretty nice. This is a great feature. I think it was really needed to have that in iOS. There's also a self timer now in the camera app. So if you want to take a picture of yourself or of a group, you actually now have the possibility. Here at the top you see that there's a time lapse. So what you do is actually take the time lapse, and you see this nice, if I press, here you go, now you see that the time lapse will have a timer, and that timer will actually let me take a picture of, here we go. So you can actually position your phone somewhere and have a time lapse of either 3 or 10 seconds for that. So that's pretty cool. What else do we have as improvements? The keyboard has been enhanced because the keyboard, frankly, was a little, annoying, and it actually now will try to know what you are typing. So depending on the phrase and what you are typing, it's going to suggest stuff. You can also now drag on and have different options that are going to feature in the keyboard itself. So there's a lot of new stuff in the keyboard also, which is quite cool. Websites that show up in Safari in mobile mode will now have a button where you can click request desktop site, which means that if you are in mobile mode, you will be able to actually have the desktop mode of a website available easily. So that's also something that's quite nice from Safari. New feature, of course, because of the mobile payment service, and especially with the iPhone 6 that has the new chip for mobile payments, you can now take a picture of your credit card, and it's actually going to add into your credit card information automatically. You don't have to enter that by yourself. It's going to work by it. Actually, it's going to work just by taking the picture of your credit card, and it's going to add actually autofill anything from Amazon or any website that you go to. So these are all the updates from iOS 8, and it's pretty cool to see all of those. Apart from that, battery, I haven't seen any battery drain more than usual or anything. I haven't seen any weird or any crashes, so that's another great feature. I think that's something nice. And basically just explore, and I can say that I've done it on my iPhone 5. I think it's pretty safe to use iOS 8. It seems to be quite safe and quite good. Like I said, no crashes and no problems yet for me. So maybe I'll post a video in a few days with a different opinion, but for now everything seems to be going well. So hope you enjoyed this iOS 8 review video.